Good morning, students. This side Ankit Vyas. Today, we are going to discuss about the introduction of the cryptography and network security. Well, the basic point which we are going to discuss under this session is that what exactly the cryptography is, what is the use of the network, how we make the network secure, or literally we can say that what is network security. So let's proceed for the next session. So students, let us begin some basic terminology, some basic key features which is related to the cryptography. Let us have a look. First is the very important plain text. See, what is plain text? Plain text is nothing. Suppose we are posting, or suppose we are going to post some message to the receiver, right? So the original message, it means the actual message which we are sending from the computer, or which we are posting from a specific location, right? So that is known as in plain text. Then we have ciphertext. Students, we have two things. One is plain text and another one is ciphertext. Ciphertext is nothing but we have some data which is in encrypted format or which is in coded format. It means users can't identify that yes, what what was the meaning of that messages, right? So that is known as in ciphertext. Then what is cipher? See, cipher is generally an algorithm which is used for transferring plain text to the ciphertext, right? Then, by posting the data from plain text to ciphertext, we have some key available in between. See, key. What is key? Key is nothing but key is the information used in cipher known only to sender or receiver. It means suppose we have mentioned some key. Generally we are talking about our mobile phone lock, right? See, generally who is able to access the mobile phone? The person who know the mobile phone password, the person who know the mobile phone pattern, the person who has that you know fingerprint sensor access, or who is eligible to operate the mobile phone with the help of the some image sensor or some fingerprint sensor, then only he or she is able to open, right? So that is a key basically. Then we have encipher, which is known as an encrypt. See, encrypt. See, what is encrypt? Encrypt, as we have already discussed, that if we are converting any plain text to ciphertext, so that is see that is known as an encipher, or this whole scenario is known as an encryption. We call it encryption, right? And then we have, yes, then we have the vice versa. Then we have the opposite form, right? That we are recovering plain text from ciphertext. It means we have some coded message, that is ciphertext. We are going to convert that coded message to the plain text or the original message, we call it, right? So that is known as an decipher, or this whole technique is known as an decryption. Then, what is cryptography? Cryptography is nothing but yes, it is a study of encryption principles or method. It means the key terminologies which is used for the encryption, right? So that is known as in cryptography. Then we have crypt analysis. Crypt analysis, or it is known as in code breaking as well, right? It is the study of methods, or it is the study of principles of deciphering ciphertext without knowing the key, right? Then we have cryptography. What is cryptography? Fill up both cryptography and crypt analysis, right? So it means what is the term which is called as in cryptography? In the term cryptography, we are going to discuss about the both of the term. One is cryptography that we have already discussed, that yes, encryption principle study or methods, right? And crypt analysis, it means we are just going to break any cryptography or any deciphering ciphertext without knowing that. See, suppose I don't know the pattern of any mobile phone, right? And I want to unlock that particular mobile phone by making flash or whatever it is, whatever technique is available, right? So how to, decrypt that particular plain text or that particular encrypted device or encrypted content, right, without knowing the key. So this is how we are going to discuss under the cryptanalysis. Now, the very important point is that why there is the requirement of the security. It means what is the need of the security. See, generally, as we have already discussed, that if we are traveling, if we are transmitting the data within the network, right? So we have three, four things which is work in between client, server. We have some server databases where server stores their content in a step-by-step manner. And if we are sharing some various kind of fields or various category of fields, or we call it various category of data or various types of the data. Let's suppose we are going to just transmit some information from client side, right? Let's suppose we have customer id, other id, item id, credit card number, issued by, valid till, right? So how that particular data is being organized, right? So that particular data we are obtaining from the client, right? And that server receive that particular data, and server holds the specific database for the data or for a unique data, right? Somehow it depends. As generally, guys, we are easily able to access the UPI feature, right? So what generally we are doing, that yes, we have added our credential, we have added our card credential at a time, right? And after that, what we have noticed, that yes, if we have added card credentials at once, so every time whenever we are accessing our ID, or whenever we are accessing that particular login credential, right? So we have already or we do have that particular information, or it will ask you that whether you are going to save your card, whether you are going to add these details, right? So we have that details at the time. So see, what is the logic? The logic is that yes, whether we are going to use that particular feature in future, or whether we are not going to use those features in future, right? Whatever it is, it depends on our requirement. And generally what is happening, that if we are doing, or if we are making all these activities, right, user allow us, or that particular server allow us, whether you are going to save, or whether you are going to add these details, or whether you are not going to add these details. Again, it's all up to you. Now, let us discuss the points, or we call it the principles of the security, right? That what is mandatory to store, or what is mandatory to configure the security within any network system, right? So what are the key parameters generally being required, or we call it as in principles of the security, right? So we have certain things, as we have very first thing, that is confidentiality, right? We have integrity. What is integrity? We have authentication. We have non-repudiation, that is known as a non-denial, right? We have access control, and finally we have availability. It means we are going to discuss under these principles of the securities step by step. Now, let us see that what is confidentiality. See, as name suggests that yes, we are talking about the interception. It means the principle of confidentiality specifies that only the sender and intended recipients should be able to access the content of a message. It means another user C gets access to this message which is not desired, and therefore defeats the purpose of the confidentiality. It means we have something which we are going to share from A to B, right? And if C want to get, right, So C have that particular, we call it as in key. It means see the whole purpose or the principle of confidentiality specifies that only the sender and the intended recipients should be able to access the content of message. It means however PCs we are being connected, right? And if we allow or if we provide an access, see, then only they are able to access that particular content or you know the bunch of the messages, right? So that is known as in confidentiality. Now we have authentication, which is also known as fabrication. See, authentication mechanism help to establish a proof of identities. It means, suppose, suppose we are going to share some resources within the network, right? So it will ask for some identification, identification proof, right? As very simple it was that suppose many of the time we are going to make our net banking system or we are going to make our net banking feature more secure. So what generally we can make, we just if required, right? So we want to make it more secure access by adding some OTPs inside, right? If there was the OTP, then only we are able to share the resources. If there was an OTP, or if it verify the OTP first, then only we are able to access the whole transaction information or the whole details of our bank account, right? As we have A, B, and C. Let's suppose A user is introducing to B that yes, I am user A. I have something which we are going to provide it to you, right? Then only B receive that particular data, right? Similarly, as I have already told you that yes, see, suppose you are going to access or suppose you want to know about your money statement or suppose you want to you know retrieve your net banking account, right? So it will verify the OTP from your RMN registered mobile number, right? That yes, please insert the OTP which you have received on your registered mobile number. Once you verify that particular OTP, then only it is then only it will provide you a kind of that display, or then only it will open that the whole net banking session in front of you if you verify that particular OTP on the relevant time which user has specified. Integrity, which is also known as in modification. See, the content of messages are changed after the sender sends it, but before it reaches the intended recipients. See, suppose we have, let us have a look on the example which I have been explored for your convenience, right? Suppose A is going to transfer 500 rupees to some X, right? Right. So we have idle root of the message. It means that message is moving to the B. But yes, suppose we have some other thing in between, right? So that is the actual route basically. So let's suppose A is going to travel from A to C first and then C to B first. So once that particular system was there, it means C doesn't know that yes, what A is exactly going to be transmit, right? And C can't verify, C can't see basically that the original message which A is going to send it to the C. And if it is directly, if it is received by the B system, so then B automatically knows that yes, uh, somehow C is going this, right? So let's summarize the example that user C managed to access the data, change its content, and send the changed message to the user B. This type of attack is called as a modification, guys. Non-repudiation, that is known as in non-denial. See, students, non-repudiation is nothing. The principle of non-repudiation defeats any possibilities of denying something have done, right? See, suppose we have two systems, or suppose we have two stations, or suppose we have two nodes. Let's suppose, right, we have A node, we have B node, right? So I never sent that messages which you claim to have received, right? See, non-repudiation does not allow the sender of a message to refuse the claim of not sending that particular message. It means he doesn't have any evidences, right? Whether they have sent it, whether they don't have sent it, or the principle of non-repudiation defeats any possibilities of denying something have done, right? So it means they don't have that proper evidences that comes under non-repudiations, which is also known as a non-denial. Access control. What is access control? See, the principle of access controls determines who should be able to access what. Access control specifies and controls who can access what. See, let's suppose a user A can write to file X, but can only update files Y and Z, right? So it's all up to us that yes, we are going to make any content public, or we are going to make any content private. So that is comes under the access control feature. Students, I hope you all guys are enjoying the session. Right, we have availability, which is also known as an interruption. See, what is availability? The principle of availability states that resources should be available to authorized parties at all the times. Right. Authorized user, let's suppose we have the figure which has been, specified for your convenience. As authorized user, A may not be able to contact server, computer, or computer B due to intentional access of an unauthorized user C. Let's suppose we can, we just have a look on the transaction which is being shown for your convenience, so you automatically understand that what exactly the happening was there in this availability feature. Now let us have a look of OSI standard for security models. So we have certain, we have certain standard which is being specified, or that also comes under the open system interconnection, which was the very famous, you know, networking model being released or being introduced at Bell Laboratories, right? So we are going to discuss about the following features under the standard of the OSI for the security models. So somehow those features are authentication, access controls, non-repudiation, data integrity, confidentiality, assurance and availability, notarization or signature we call it. Have a look of OSI, basically Open System Interconnection. See, it is a security architecture that provides a systematic framework for defining security attacks, security mechanism, and security services. So let us discuss the aspects of the security. See, we have three aspects of information security. The very first thing is security attack, which is very much common as we are transmitting any resources or we are transmitting any data within the network. So definitely we have some security attacks which usually occurs, right? We have security mechanism. Security mechanism was nothing but yes, what is the key mechanism, or what is the a kind of policy which we have been prepared for the users, or that is also known as in control. And we have security services, that yes, so what services works in between, right? Then we have to discuss, we have to note out on these terms, right? The first is threat. Threat is nothing but it is a potential for violation of security. Then we have vulnerability. Vulnerability is nothing, a way, it is a way by which loss can be happen, that is known as in vulnerability, right? We have attack. Attack is nothing but yes, It is an assault on system security, a deliberate attempt to evade security services. Security attacks. See, security attack was nothing but it is any action that compromises the security of information owned by the organization. And we have security mechanism. Security mechanism was nothing but yes, it is a process or a device incorporating such a process that is designed to direct, prevent, or recover from a security attack. Then we have security services. Security services was nothing but a processing or communication services that enhances the security of the data processing system and the information transfers of an organization. The services are intended to counter security attacks and they makes use of one or more security mechanisms to provide the services. So that's all about the security services. Then we have threat. See, what is threat? Threat is a potential for violation of security. It means suppose we are talking about the violations, so that comes under the threat, which exist when there is circumstances, capability, action or event that could be breach security and cause harm. That is, threat is a possible danger that might exploit a vulnerability, right? Then we have an attack. See, attack was nothing but an assault on system security that derives from an intelligent threat, that is an intelligent act, that is that is deliberate attempt, especially in the sense of a method or technique to evade security services and violate the security policy of the system. Then we have some OSI Security Architecture as ITU-T X.800, that is Security Architecture, which is being specified for OSI for Open System Interconnection. See, it defines a systematic way of defining and providing security requirements. Okay, students, thanks for watching my session, or thanks for watching the session based on the introduction to cryptography and network security. I hope you all guys enjoyed the session. So once again, thank you so much for watching it. Thanks again.